Welcome back to the channel. W.F.S. here. In a previous Star Trek video, I talked about one of the better episodes coming from the first season of Next Generation, Arsenal of Freedom. Now we're going to talk about what I believe to be, just my own personal opinion, what I believe to be one of the weaker episodes from that same season called Symbiosis.
As you may know, the sun in the Delos system is undergoing large-scale magnetic field changes, producing violent, gigantic flares. Now, we shall be studying this star at close range, even though we shall be running with full deflectors. The closeness of this event and its severity will create problems.
So the Enterprise is studying a star whose magnetic field is changing, and it's causing violent solar flare eruptions. This is, I guess, a normal scientific study that is worthy of the Enterprise's attention. But in the middle of all that, they will get intercept a distress call from a local freighter ship called the Sanction, who apparently is having trouble.
Whoever you are, yes, I'm having trouble navigating. Can't maintain a steady course. Please help us if you can.
So the Enterprise is going to break away from its assigned mission to study this star and its magnetic field changes to go rescue a vessel in distress. Understandable, and it's something that I would expect nothing less of this crew. The problem with the story is that will be the end of it. That'll be really the end of anything about this. No mention on and off briefly about the star and the effects that it's having on the ship's systems, even as far away from the star as they are now. They're in orbit of another planet, but that'll be the end of it. You will not hear any more about the research they're doing.
Now, as for our cargo.
Our cargo, Captain.
Wrong, so be it.
My first officer has said that ownership of this cargo is in dispute, but this question must be settled by whatever legal machinery exists between your two societies.
So apparently the people on the planet Brekka have dedicated their entire planet's resources to the development of this intensely addictive narcotic, Felicium. And the people on the planet Yunara are completely addicted to it thanks to a plague that this thing eventually did wipe out, but the side effects have left them addicted, and the people on Brekka discovered it was addictive and just refined the process to make it more addictive. That is what this episode is all about. Drug addiction. You know, it's such a damn shame that these people didn't watch the movie Scarface. They would have learned some valuable lessons from Frank Lopez.
Lesson number 1. Don't underestimate the other guy's greed.
Lesson number 2, don't get high on your own supply.
That's right. Lesson number 2, don't get high on your own supply. Because not everybody follows the rules, huh?
At some point in the episode, they even get Wesley Crusher involved with it, to the point that he starts asking questions about drugs and drug addiction. It becomes more like an ABC after-school special.
Then you pay the price. Before you know it, you're taking the drug not to feel good, but to keep from feeling bad.
And that's the trap.
All you care about is getting your next dosage. Nothing else matters.
I know some people out there will look at me and say, man, that was just very cold of you. Drug addiction is a serious issue. And yes, it is. I'm not putting anyone down who's ever had a drug addiction. I am talking about this particular episode right here. It didn't feel like a Star Trek episode. It just felt like a giant don't do drugs episode. For me, the really only redeemable part of this whole episode is when Picard gives Beverly not necessarily a lecture, but an explanation as to why the Prime Directive is so important when it comes to interfering with other cultures and the development of their societies.
Beverly, the Prime Directive is not just a set of rules. It is a philosophy, and a very correct one. History has proved again and again that whenever mankind interferes with a less developed civilization, no matter how well-intentioned that interference may be, the results are invariably disastrous.
Dr. Crusher has always been a passionate person, and honestly, that's what makes her a good physician. But in this case, Picard is absolutely right. Interfering with a society that is completely dependent upon drugs, while the other society, the other world, is completely dependent on producing that drug. You can't interfere with that. They got to figure this out on their own. That is just such a messed up, complex event taking place there, and you got to let them deal with that on their own. The Prime Directive is a perfect piece of rule that needs to be followed in this case. Symbiosis did not come across to me as a good story for Star Trek to deal with. And I honestly think that they could have done a better job with this particular story. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this, so please drop them below, let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.